I read The Day of the Jackal recently. I mean, I read it as a kid. You know, the Frederick Forsyth novel about 1963 and the OAS and the assassination attempts on de Gaulle.
Yeah.
Riveting book. So I was going around going, Je suis le chacal. I am the dog, the jackal. Hey, Je suis le chacal, James Ellroy. Hey.
Fine.
I wrote, more specifically, Extortion it's a novella. It's really a glorified short story. I wrote it because I owed a favor to Amy Lloyd, who was my editor at Playboy magazine in New York. And she took over an internet publishing company, and I had to write this thing for the internet, which I'll never do again. It was published in book form here in France by Rivage. No. I was paid to write it. I wrote it. They decided not to air the show. So there will be no TV show. You get the jobs to do the work, and you get paid, and then you go home. It's a wonderful source of income, and I'm grateful for it. But it's not like writing a book where if you write the book, it's published. It's something else entirely. Fred Otash is a character I've used in American Tabloid, The Cold 6000, and Blood's a Rover. I knew him very briefly near the end of his life. He was a shakedown artist, a scurrilous private eye, an ex-Los Angeles policeman, and he was the man in charge of verifying stories for Confidential magazine, the king of the scandal rags during the 1950s. I saw that this would be a good exercise in scandal language, outrageousness of language, invective in the extreme, and I saw it was the opportunity to write a comic novella, and it is primarily funny. Well, it's consistent with all my Los Angeles-based novels. Hush Hush magazine and the character Jack Vincennes from LA Confidential relates to Fred Otash and his private eye world. It's also the world of Blood's a Rover, the private detective Don Crutchfield, who in real life actually knew Fred Otash. And so it stands alone as a comic novella, but it's very much consistent with the broad outline of my work. I don't know, I've never read Balzac, so I can't tell you. I'll tell you, Joyce Carol Oates said I was the American Dostoevsky, which I'll take. Yeah. I've never used a computer in my life. I've never logged on to a computer. I don't have a cell phone. I know about the internet, obviously, and people tell me about TMZ and that it's an unparalleled source of rumors. So Fred Otash stands as the creator of not only the scandal rag gossip era of the 1950s, but the internet era of today. There's what's dramatically expedient, and I call him the creator of this era. It's hyperbolic of me to say that. The scandal rags preceded Fred Otash, but he was instrumental in making Confidential the most successful and prestigious of them. So he's a contributing force to the internet today and internet gossip and sleazemongering. I'm in there briefly, yes. Right. Oh yeah, it was so much fun. to have Fred Otash abuse me. Yes, it was just exactly what it is. Fred Otash could not say anything good about a guy like me. It's just showing Fred Otash's general level of misanthropy, and the truth is I'm a little bit of a buffoon. This is a Hawaiian shirt.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, oh yeah. It just doesn't have a palm tree on it. It's just, that's Fred Otash's, profane take on it. The scandal rag sold everywhere. Yeah. Right, he was scrupulous about checking facts, which is how Confidential stayed out of trouble for as long as it did. But I don't operate under those constraints. I want the dirt today. I want it, and I've got it. And I'll share it with you once the camera's off, too. I got the dirt, sister. I got the goods. Yeah. I'm the man. I'm the dog, and I've got the goods. Yes. No, as a young kid, I wanted the dirt and got the dirt, and I want the dirt today. I honestly enjoy this shit, and a lot of people do. I don't pretend that I'm above it. What the question I don't answer is what's real and what's not. You have to be able to ask yourself, okay, did Katharine Hepburn really have sex with the German Shepherd? He was a 2-minute man.
Yeah.
That in my book, American Tabloid, Jack Kennedy was a 2-minute man. Hung like a cashew, too. Hung like a light switch.
Yeah.
No, who knows? It's just all Hollywood development where you get paid to write things. It's just nothing but hoo-ha and bullshit. And you have to know going in, it's extremely unlikely that they'll ever make any of these things. So I was compensated. I have a painfully developed conscience. Fred Otash didn't teach me how to write. I taught myself how to write. I write as Fred Otash writing about me. So you're right, there's a level of irony there. No, but it's a writer's expression of his love for language. I love language. I love racist invective. I don't care how offensive it is. I love alliteration. I love Yiddish. I love black, hepcat, junkie street slang. When I was a kid, there was a cartoon character named Crazy Cat with 2 Ks. So my dad, who had a lot of the devil in him, told me that whenever you spell something with a C, to begin it with a K. So there was also a time when people would write letters, would substitute the letter K for the hard C, and then, as a comment on race, KKK, Ku Klux Klan. In fact, left-wingers called America IKKKA back in the 60s. Right, yeah, KKK. He was Freddie's good friend. He did hang out with Freddie at the Hollywood Ranch Market, and Freddie busted him for shoplifting. And he became Freddie's informant. Well, it's all in there. I never liked him as an actor. I just didn't think he was very good. But Fred Otash and James Dean were close. Well, he said he had a love affair with everybody. That was Freddie. I had them all. I was the best. I was the biggest. I was the king. Yeah, that was Freddie. Freddie was full of shit.
No,
He was a cochon and a clochard. That's a riff. That's actually a riff on Citizen Kane, where he dies and he says Red Rider, and it's a newspaper, it's a red wagon full of confidential magazines. No, we don't know. Yeah, it's just symbolic. To fuck with people, to really, because it's LA. LA back then was the big party. So everybody knew everybody else. It was a classless society. Fools hung out with movie stars. So you have James Dean makes a porno movie with Donkey Don Eversole. And Donkey Don Eversole has a 2-foot schlong, and he's making love with June Christie, who's a big band singer, and who sang for Stan Kenton's band, Big Stan. And so there's a party at his place, at Freddie's place, to debut the film. James Dean is there, Donkey Don is there, the Marine Corps fruit hustlers are there, Sartre, the publisher of Confidential, future President Ronald Reagan, drag queens. It's this idea of LA as the big party. Yes, yeah, I think that's a very good perception. I want to rewrite history to my own specifications. I use this phrase over and over again: the secret human infrastructure of large public events, and that's what I do here in a comedic sense. Was Sartre really there? I don't think it's ironic, but it's just deliberate subversion. Yeah, I'm subverting the facts, and I'm not going to tell you what's real and what's not, and it's up to you. No, and I have a sympathetic view of America. I'm very, very proudly American, and I love the place, and so I don't have a negative view of my country. It's the idea overall of the United States of this big, hard-charging, freewheeling, powerful place in deep conflict. So, wherever you have deep conflict, you have ambivalence and paradox and hypocrisy. And the idea that the heads of movie studios would impose moral clauses, on their stars as they exploit them, and yet hold it over them, to be able to fire them if it's necessary, is shocking in and of itself. And the fact that people had been brainwashed, American citizens had been brainwashed by the movie studios into believing the lies that they did about film stars, and then Confidential came around and made all these accurate. And then there's people really today, they cannot believe that James Dean was the human ashtray. They don't want to believe it. I'm aware of these levels of analysis and of provocation, and yeah, you're right about all of that. Most people aren't going to get the finer points of this, and I've learned to accept that over the years. What's interesting is people's reaction to something like this, because they're titillated and they want to be shocked and they want to condemn me for having written it, and they still confuse me with Fred Otash. And then I'll say something's thoughtful, and they go and criticize Fred Otash and say he was a bad man. But then I come back and say, well, turn off the cameras, because I got the goods, on some big players in America today, and I want to see your reaction. In a way it is. In a way it is, but by and large, what gives these books of mine the power is that they're not intended to reference today. If I'm writing a novel about the Vietnam War, it has nothing to do with the war on terror. if I'm writing a book about President Harry Truman or Dwight Eisenhower, it has nothing to do with President George W. Bush or Obama. And people, they want to go to the simplest possible connection, and they have to relate it today or it has no relevance for them. And I just like fucking with people, you know. I just do. Yeah, of course, yeah, of course. Yeah. 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 Well, I promised I promised my ex-wife that I wouldn't talk about politics, you know, on this book tour, because I like to fuck with people too much, and it gets me in trouble, and it brings out in me this part of me that likes to fight and mess with people and fuck with people, and I never get ugly with it, but it's like being a dog. You know, you say to the dog, don't chase that cat. What the dog's going to say, fuck you, I'm chasing that cat. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just fucking with people. It's just fucking with people. Actually, keep in mind, this is a comedic piece. So I'm having fun with ideas like this. And if this were one of my big-ass 650-page serious novels, I wouldn't be making comments like that. A distraction?
Yeah.
No, it was, no, these are difficult pieces to write. Writing in Scandal language where everything has to rhyme alliteratively, it's a difficult piece of work. I mean, I spent a lot of time on this thing, but it is primarily comedic. I had fun writing it, yeah. No.
No?
No, I did not have that much design going on here. You know, you've read a lot into it, and I think you've plumbed my unconscious, you know, very, very deeply on this thing. But I was going for shock value, and I was going for humor. It's the idea of the freewheeling, big-time America. And it's the, you know, by and large, I feel like I am the last of a certain kind of hard-charging American male. You know, I'm a big guy. You know, I wear shirts like this and pants like this and deck shoes. I drive sports cars. I throw money around. I over-tip. You know, I like women. What else? You got to have a pad, a great pad. You got to have a great sports car. You got to have some great threads, right? You got to over-tip, or you're a fruit, a fag, a freak, and a geek. You know, I'm the last gasp of the hard-charging, right-wing American white man. You know, I'm the big kahuna. I want to be the big kahuna. And for a week, I'm the big kahuna in France. You know, and so someone said to me earlier today, you're going to go to the, you know, to Lyon. What do you want to do there? I want to be the fucking man. I want to be l'homme. I want to be the man. I want to be like Charles de Gaulle on Liberation Day, you know, 1945. I want to be the big tall guy that rides in the big car and waves to the crowd. Now, I'll never be Charles de Gaulle, But I'm, not going to be the savior of my country and the founder of the Fifth Republic. I'm the big kahuna in France for a week. So I'm happy to be here. Very metaphysical hint. Yeah.
I knew it.
Did you know it? You knew it, right?
I knew it.
Did you know it? Did you really?